we finally find out who the Springtrap hunting Oswald is, or otherwise known as Pit Bunny. Pit Bunny is a creature with glowing blue eyes, first appearing in the book Fazbear Frights 1 Into the Pit, then later in the graphic novel collections. At this point, William Afton, the co-founder of Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria, who was responsible for killing the missing children, is long dead, yet the results and aftermath of his horrendous actions remain behind, still hunting and tormenting many, and in some cases, his presence is quite literally observed and felt. William Afton would dress up in the yellow rabbit or spring bunny suit, lure kids into the backstage room, and brutally kill them. The strong negative impact and memories he left behind quite literally created a supernatural phenomenon known as agony, which would make items close to the place of the crime seem haunted. As such, the stalking and murderous animatronic we see in this installment, Into the Pit, is the negative emotion and memory of William Afton, represented in what is seen by Oswald, a kid who lives in this town and frequently visits the pizzeria that was once Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria, where the murders took place. If you haven't already, make sure to watch the videos I made about this installment to catch up on the story. You can do so by clicking on the link in the description or the card above. William Afton has a long history of dying and coming back as new entities, hunting and killing more, represented as a vengeful and horrifying spirit. He was first killed in the Springtrap suit, with the suit springs and bolts penetrating his body in a gruesome manner. That led to his soul, or otherwise known as remnant, fusing with the suit and hunting even more kids and people, killing more. His friend and the co-founder of the pizzeria, Henry, sees the trauma and pain that this has caused many, with the vengeful souls of the kids he killed fusing with more animatronics, being evil versions of themselves, even though the kids were innocent. As a result, Henry lures all the animatronics and burns them all in the pizzeria, leading to them all dying. Now, that sounds all good and dandy, right? Well, wrong. Afton always comes back. In Help Wanted, with a new character introduced, Vanessa, we learn William Afton's memories and consciousness has fused with game cartilages and has found itself into the digital realm, leading to him becoming a digital entity, eventually manifesting a semi-physical body known as Glitchtrap. Glitchtrap manipulates and controls Vanessa, even going so far as possessing her, leading her to wanting to bring his original body back. That takes us to Security Breach, where a new character known as Gregory, a child hero, fights off Vanessa, who does indeed manage to bring William Afton back, being badly decomposed and charred, now known as Burntrap. Understandably. It doesn't take long for Burntrap to go around and do his thing, however, as Gregory, with the help of an unlikely friend, Glamrock Freddy, a good animatronic, managed to take him down. It's not very clear if this actually ended William Afton or not, but by the looks of it, it's far from over. A new idea was introduced in the FNAF lore, known as AGONY, which is the strong negative emotions and memories manifesting themselves in items and hunting them. It turns out, if these items, which are similar to totems, were to be put next to intelligent beings, such as robots or endoskeletons, they would make the robots come to life, absorbing those negative memories, becoming them, representing them, and effectively becoming the bad people that caused them. The ball pit in theory is seen as a portal which opens up and allows people to go to the past, specifically 1985, more specifically June of 26th, when the murders happened. The ball pit, being an unchanged aspect of the history of the pizzeria, never replaced, sustains and keeps the agony, the memories of the victims of the incident of 1985 when the missing children were killed by William Afton. Therefore, the 1985 that Oswald travels to is not a factual and real past timeline that he goes to, but a place where he experiences and observes the memories of the people that lost their lives, suffered, and experienced trauma, still lingering. In the graphic novel, we can see how Oswald never goes through the ball pit into another realm. It's not like a passageway or a door to another physical place, but he lies there, being overtaken by the memories. He's seen in a way sleeping in the pit and having vivid dreams about the Fazbear Pizzeria in 1985. Even towards the end, when he saves his father, he doesn't go to sleep anymore, going to 1985 to find his father, but rather finds him submerged in the ball pit, portraying how he has always been there, just being in a comatose state, not waking up. Or maybe that's his consciousness, but we'll get back to that later. Therefore, the ball pit contained all the memories of the Fazbear Pizzeria, especially the negative ones where Oswald relived those horrible days. In the graphic novel of the game, we see Oswald drawing the animatronic images, especially spraying bunnies. That is pretty much the same in the game edition. He doesn't know anything about the animatronics and doesn't understand why he is so strongly drawn to them. It is not really explained why he randomly draws them as well, and how he sees them in everyday aspects such as cartoons, replacing the shape of different imaginary beings and characters in those shows. I've got a theory for that, which can be backed up by some evidence that we are provided. Now we know that agony is the negative emotions and memories remaining in inanimate objects which were involved in those incidents. For example, the ball pit was a place which was closely present during those days. The kids were murdered. Therefore, it preserved those memories and emotions. It is said that those items act as totems or haunted objects representing the actions or incidents. Therefore, we could accordingly say the walls of the pizzeria, the foundation of the place that it's built on, the paint, the construction itself, all preserve those memories. Oswald frequently visited the pizzeria, spending almost every day in there. So based on that, we can gather that Oswald was affected by the haunted items and most likely, unconsciously, obtained parts of those memories, hence how he perfectly drew the animatronics. The agony that was so strong, remembered by the victims so vividly that they made their presence known to Oswald, overtaking his dreams and mind. The sheer horror of those brutal animatronics made Oswald see them very clearly, even though he didn't know them and never heard of them before. Now going back to Pit Bunny and how he managed to come to the current time, just from agony or the negative memories, might seem a little baffling. We now know from the graphic novels and the books, agony can manifest itself in endoskeletons in a hostile manner and become murderous. However, what we see in Into the Pit is a little different. Agony is seen in the alternate universe of the pit, representing itself as Spring Bunny or William Afton in the yellow rabbit suit. A visible evidence for that is the black liquid goo leaking from his eye socket, which is a characteristic of agony when it possesses an animatronic. Pit Bunny is portrayed a little different in the graphic novel and the game. In the game, we see Oswald's father emerging out of the pit, who is possessed by agony or the agony of William Afton, the Pit Bunny, who everyone sees as Oswald's father. Regardless, Oswald knows the truth and sees him as Pit Bunny or Spring Bunny. In the graphic novel, it is a little more confusing as Pit Bunny emerges out of the ball pit, never taking the shape of the father, while everyone treats him as his father, including the mother and the neighbors. Despite the differences, both are canon and try to have the same depiction that Oswald's father is possessed by Pit Bunny, who is more accurately the representation of this memory, or better known as agony. Since the beginning, when Oswald went into this memory or agony realm, he was stalked and closely watched by Spring Bunny. That makes sense as he is the only real person in the entirety of this realm, with everything and everyone being a memory. Hence the agony targets the only real kid in order to find itself out of the dream or memory realm. Spring Bunny or Pit Bunny shows his sadistic and horrible handiwork of killing 6 children as if trying to break Oswald so that he can consume his mind, but Oswald narrowly escapes, going out of the ball pit where instead his father is close enough to the pit, the totem or the haunted item, which allows agony to consume him. The visualization depicts a more theatrical version of what's going on, with a physical manifestation of agony kidnapping the father and taking his place. But according to the information, it would seem to be more like a seamless exchange where the father would lose his footing or be gravitated towards the ball pit, fall into it, and then emerge out as the possessed father containing agony. You might ask why Spring Bunny wouldn't do that right away to Oswald when he fell into the ball pit. Well, that can be explained that the agony, the one from William Afton, had to track him and target him before being able to do that. The ball pit didn't only contain the memory of William Afton and the murders, but also the kids, the different experiences, and maybe even good times. So the specific agony of William Afton had to target Oswald or the father and get close enough to possess them. There are of course a lot of plot holes and inconsistencies, but that is the best way I personally could connect the dots. You can let me know what else I missed down in the comments. Now, something horrifying to note is that the ball pit didn't act as an actual portal, but rather facilitated the mind to travel to different places where the strongest memories were trapped and stayed in, being 1985. In other words, Oswald was astral projecting or dreaming in an extremely vivid manner. He was essentially jacking in like Matrix, and his mind was going to a different place. That means Oswald was lying unconsciously in the ball pit and sleeping in it for the entirety of the time when he visualized himself being in 1985. And despite thinking that nothing would happen to him in the real life if it happens to him in 1985, this would be far from the truth, and his mind would be probably like scrambled egg. That is the same case for his father, who was possessed by Pit Bunny. The father didn't so much physically stay in the ball pit, but rather his consciousness was left behind. When he is grabbed and pulled into the pit, he disappears and Pit Bunny emerges, which is seen in the graphic novel. In the game, we have a better visualization where the father re-emerges from the pit, with Pit Bunny nowhere to be seen, but instead seen as a ghost figure attached to his father. This essentially means that the unseen supernatural entity known as the Agony, representing the memories and being of William Afton, latched itself to Oswald's father and took over his body. No one apart from Oswald noticed this, and everyone treated him as Oswald's father, apart from the cat and Oswald. Eventually, Oswald goes looking for his father, sneaking out of the house, not to be seen by his father, who is now overtaken by Pit Bunny. When he goes to the pizzeria ball pit, finding the unconscious body of his father engulfed under the balls. This creates some sort of confusion to how it's possible to have two different bodies, one in the ball pit and one roaming around. To me, it seems more like a visualization, as in the game it is portrayed differently, that Oswald finds his father in the Agony realm, tied to a chair. I would say the visualization of the father in the ball pit is more to indicate his consciousness is left there, hence why he doesn't wake up no matter how much Oswald shakes him and pleads with him to wake up. It is only after defeating Pit Bunny and trapping him in the ball pit nets when the father awakens, portraying that his consciousness was returned to his body, with the Agony getting trapped in the ball pit. The specifics of how this is possible is still a mystery, and specifically how Oswald managed to quite literally fight an invisible entity. But we can leave it just at that. That it was all a visualization of willpower, friendship, and love for family. Anyway, it seems as if the father's consciousness returns to the body, evicting the Agony, with everything going back to normal. So technically, William Afton or his consciousness is not back, but this is more like a recording of his actions, which is not perfect, not recording everything, but the most extreme and hostile characteristics which were observed by the horrified and scared children. So it makes Agony even more dangerous, as it is derived from fear and worst horrifying memories and trauma. This is something that we see in the Security Breach Ruin DLC, with Cassie encountering the horrifying Mimic, who sees nothing and knows nothing but violence. This brings us to the end of the video, folks. If you enjoyed it, make sure to stay tuned for more by hitting on the subscribe button and the notification bell. As always, it's been your host Star, and I hope to see you on another one.